Happy Transformation Thursday, everyone. Yesterday I was adjusting in the afternoon, and at one point there was 5 people here ready to be adjusted, and all 5 have actually been coming to our office for over 11 years at Whole Family Chiropractic. We've been doing it for a while, but it felt like an honor to be like, wow, these people we've been able to care for them for so long. And one of them happened to be a boy in his 20s who I wanted to share a throwback to his story. When he was only 9 years old, Mom had written something up for a presentation that I was doing that she wanted to share it. The story about her son, but I thought, let's share this story for Transformation Thursday. So she had written this up when her son was 9, when we first started working with him. He was challenged with anxiety, ADHD, Asperger's, and a behavior disorder. And her husband she was mentioning, yeah, he was more than a typical child with a lot of anxiety, social emotional challenges, impulsivity, explosivity, inflexible reactions. They seemed out of proportion, and they started to become aggressive and angry. I know she shared when she first started, there'd be times where he would elope and just run away through the woods. They lived out in the country for hours at a time. But this fall, before they were starting, she said things really started to escalate. For example, he'd walk into the kitchen, get his socks wet, and in that instant, it could be this 30 to 60 minute tirade of angry verbal and physical aggression and property destruction. She said it was taking her and her husband several hours to get him ready for school each day. And some of these escalations were actually lasting 3 to 4 hours of rage, property destruction, and elopement, like I mentioned. He started to feel very negative, and she was worried that he was feeling like he didn't want to live anymore because it was too hard to deal with his challenges. And her and her husband said, well, we didn't want to medicate, but we were at this tipping point at this point. And so, fortunately, they had seen us at a presentation. She said, let's give this neurological chiropractic a try. And she said that it was escalating so much, they were like at this tipping point, because one day he had this 4-hour escalation, elopement, aggression, property destruction episode, where all of a sudden he started to do better. Early on in care, he woke up in the morning and got ready in 20 minutes, willing and ready to go out the door 40 minutes before we needed to leave. Her and her husband said, we're going to start the med this Saturday if things don't improve. But lo and behold, we started to see longer and longer glimpses of the real kiddo we knew was in there. Better regulated, happier, better able to cope with feelings, feeling better around himself. And it was so great to see. She actually said his last extreme aggression episode was the day of his first adjustment. Since then, fast forwarding several months, he had a minor incident, and the cool thing was, as he started to do better internally, he started to do better at school. Previously, she said he would always bounce back and forth between these 2 lowest levels of the behavior system at school. He'd go between white and bronze. Suddenly, as he's a couple months into care, he went to the silver level. And then, as she's reporting here, 2 weeks ago, he hit gold. And so, again, this is way back when he was younger, but not only was he hitting gold instead of the lowest levels at school, but she noticed his self-esteem and confidence started to get extremely better. So not only was he recovering more quickly, he was making some friends with classmates, and he was actually like getting excited about school because she said one day he jumped into my arms, hugged me, and told me he loved me numerous times when he got that first gold status because of he could sense internally he was doing so much better. I remember early in care, after he was getting this good recognition at school, one day he came into the office with a Student of the Month certificate because he had been able to make such good changes. She noticed also he was problem solving better, his mood was much happier, better self-regulation, more flexible, less likely to get stuck, more affectionate, and just more thoughtful for him in respect to his parents and his sibling. So, as we wrap up this Transformation Thursday, Mom said, we've been on a long journey, and now we're seeing a new potential we hadn't been able to unlock previously. It's paving the way for other interventions to work more effectively. My husband and I are excited to see how far we can go to unlocking his potential and revealing the precious boy we knew that has been in there all the time, and let it shine through. So if you are a parent and you're dealing with some struggles with your kiddo, please know that there is hope. Their bodies can heal, they can get better, and if you want some support, please reach out. We're here for you.